Perfect. Hi, and welcome to the Vegan Boomer Babe. Today we are going to be talking about a couple different things before we get started. First of all, I wanted to explain why some of my kitchen cabinets may not seem to match. I'm in the middle of doing a kitchen refacing, and the company that was doing it said, hey, how about if we come in a couple weeks early and put your kitchen together for you? And of course it was a couple of days before Christmas. I thought it seemed like a good idea at the time. They came in, took my kitchen apart. Some of the doors weren't quite right, so still in the middle of it. But I will be posting a video of what it's like to have your kitchen redone with a refacing project. So I never knew what was involved, so I think you might find it interesting if that's something that you've been thinking about for your own kitchen. Also, I would like to talk about one of my hobbies, which is kind of a strange hobby. As a baby boomer, I've been cooking since probably I was 4 or 5 years old. And one of my hobbies has always been researching recipes. I just love reading recipes. And when I'm thinking of making a certain dish, I would research many different recipes, and I might pick a little bit out of this one and pick a little bit out of that one and put them together, and I'd make it and then tweak it and just finally find the perfect recipe. So I have a bookshelf full of cookbooks that I've collected over the years. I still collect some cookbooks. Most of my recipes that I'm researching today I just find online, but just one of my hobbies, which is where a lot of my recipes come from. I wanted to talk about how my channel really talks about the transition from traditional to plant-based. It is an interesting time in your life when you decide that you would like to either implement more plant-based food into your life, or if you want to maybe you're already vegan and you aren't quite sure how to add a little spice to your life. So I have really taken a lot of traditional recipes and made them vegan. Pretty much any recipe that I enjoyed before going vegan, I still enjoy today. So, and that's where I really want to focus on. So some recipes are perfect as written. So if I see a recipe that I think is fabulous and I want to share it with you because I think it's going to be a really great addition to your kitchen, I will let you know right up front, kind of like the recipe that we're going to do today. So let's get started. We're going to start with our ricotta cheese. I've gone to True Food Kitchen, which is, I believe it's a chain restaurant, and I ordered their vegan pizza, and it had dollops of ricotta cheese on the pizza. It said it was vegan, and I thought surely they made a mistake and put on real ricotta cheese, but it is just that delicious. So I found a recipe for it online. It was created by the Vegan 8, so kudos to the Vegan 8 because it's a great recipe. It starts out with slivered almonds, not whole, not halved, slivered almonds. And what you need to do is you need to soak them. I'm actually doubling this recipe because I want to have plenty of ricotta cheese for our lasagna. And I also may do a pizza in the next day or so. Just want to have a little extra. So I'm going to be doubling it, but I'll give you both measurements. You need to use a food processor for this recipe. I have a Vitamix. I have a NutriBullet. I really thought that I could use my Vitamix, and I've tried it with the Vitamix, and it does not work. Why? I don't know, because a Vitamix really usually works for nuts. I have a box that last night It says, 6 to 8 hours. So I usually put the slivered almonds in this box. I measured out 3 cups. The recipe calls for 1.5. On the recipe that I post, it's not going to be the doubled recipe. So 1.5 cups of slivered almonds is what it should be. I have 3 cups here because, as I mentioned, I'm doubling it. And what I did was I boiled some water, poured it over the almonds, and let them sit. Now I'm going to, this was last night, so I'm going to just rinse them in this little colander and get them all out of here. Just kind of get most of the water off of them. And rather than drip them across the whole floor, put them on this. And now I'm going to add them to my food processor. And I've got a couple runners here, but just, there we go. Okay. So we are going to just use, put just the almonds in. And I'm going to just put this on a little bit. It's going to be loud. I'm going to just pulse, I'm going to do this for maybe a half a minute. I just want them small pieces. Looks good. So I'm going to just wipe down these sides, and then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. So I'm probably going to regret making this much ricotta cheese, but I thought maybe this single batch wasn't going to be enough. This looks like it's going to be way too much, but okay. 5 tablespoons of hot water is the regular recipe. I am doing 10 tablespoons because I'm doubling this. And 10 tablespoons equals a half a cup plus 2 tablespoons. So I do have in the microwave some water that I heated. Oops. I know, a little noisy. Speaking of noise, so I mentioned that we have, our new kitchen is half in, half out, but I do have like nice, quiet closing cabinet doors, which is perfect for me because I'm noisy in the kitchen. Okay, here is a half a cup. Just make sure we have a half a cup of hot water and 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. Okay, next we are going to add 2 teaspoons of white vinegar, which I'm going to do 4 teaspoons because I'm doubling this. And one thing that I will do is I'm going to measure this vinegar over this cup. Don't want to measure it over the almonds because if you add too much, you can't get it out. So ask me how I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8, now I'm going to add yogurt. And it calls for 4 tablespoons of yogurt, and I'm using 8 tablespoons, which is equal to a half a cup. I'm using So Delicious coconut yogurt. You need to have unsweetened. You don't want vanilla, you want plain unsweetened yogurt. No flavors, because your ricotta cheese will not be good. So I'm going to measure out a half a cup, which the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons. I'm doing 8 tablespoons, which is a half a cup, and I think this is exactly a half a cup. Perfect. Now the recipe does say, I've made this before, and it says that if you want to start out with less yogurt and add more, I know that I like it with just this way, so I'm going to just do it that way. And then we need some salt. 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt is what the recipe calls for. We are doing 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And my teaspoon is wet, so I'm going to dry it before I measure my salt. Otherwise, I'm not going to get an accurate measurement. And 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, it's pretty amazing to me that this can make something that tastes and looks like ricotta cheese, because it just amazes me. But it's really good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put this lid on, and we are going to process this for quite some time. Minutes, like maybe 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to let this process until it's completely smooth. You don't want it grainy, it should be completely smooth. And then when this is finished, I'm going to add a little parsley. The recipe doesn't call for parsley, but I like a little parsley in my ricotta cheese. So here we go. Okay, that was noisy. So this is the consistency that we are looking for. Looks perfect, looks like ricotta cheese. I am going to add just a little bit of parsley. So just a little bit, and I'm just going to pulse it. I don't want it to turn the cheese green. There we go. Perfect. So this looks good. It looks beautiful. And I'm going to give it a little taste. Make sure it is perfect. Perfect. Really, really delicious. I wouldn't change a thing. If you, it's always a good idea to taste something that you're going to build on, because you can never add any more ingredients to this once you start putting it in the lasagna or on a pizza. Really, really delicious. So we're going to wrap this up for today. But before we go, I do want to say that I love this recipe for the ricotta cheese. Many vegan recipes you will see for ricotta cheese call for tofu. And while that is delicious, it's nothing like this almond ricotta cheese. This is like the real deal. So I hope you'll give it a try in all of your Italian recipes, such as stuffed shells, lasagna, pizza, stromboli. Wherever you want to use ricotta cheese, this recipe is it. So thanks again to the Vegan 8 for inventing this fabulous recipe, and you will find the link to the recipe on my channel. So please take advantage of this great recipe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again sometime soon in my kitchen. Thank you.